Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Tampa Bay Arts Passport Podcast. My name is Avery Anderson. Today's conversation is with the incredible, wonderful, amazing Jenée Priebe, who founded and is the consultant at No Good Deed Arts, formerly the executive director of the SHINE Mural Festival. Jenée is just this public art ninja who has spearheaded and worked on so many projects across the Tampa Bay region. Super excited to talk with her about what does life look like for her after Shine, taking care of herself, setting more boundaries in life. You know, we all love some boundaries. And then also, what are some fun projects she's working on, and just the importance around public art. You know, I think sometimes we forget here in Tampa Bay, because we're so lucky to have so many murals and examples of free and open to the access art, that it is so important. So enjoy this conversation with Jenée Priebe. Jenée, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so worried that we're going to talk forever.
Me too.
So I'm going to be like looking at this clock so hardcore, being like, no, we can't. Because I feel like whenever we get together, there's so many ideas, and we have such, at least I feel like I appreciate your view on the arts in St. Pete. And so whenever I'm with you, I'm like, oh, we could talk for hours.
Yes, keep me on track.
This is not an hours long podcast, though. I'm going to tell everyone right now, so no worries, no stress.
Perfect.
So you're on today. We wanted to talk a little bit about your experience starting No Good Deed Arts. And so for those that don't know, you previously served as executive director of SHINE Mural Festival for a number of years and have now transitioned to starting your own consulting agency firm practice.
Yeah.
What has that experience been like? And what are you, when we say your own consulting practice, what does that mean for those that maybe don't know?
Yeah, so it's been a huge transition, to be honest. I mean, I was able to take a lot of what I had learned from Shine and that experience and kind of take it into this other realm of consulting and project management. And it's been amazing. Like, I love the freedom that comes with that and the flexibility that comes with that. But it's been a big transition, because I honestly never thought I would be a business owner. Like, that wasn't something I even considered for myself. I never thought I'd be in the arts in general. Like, I don't know what I thought I was going to do, but it wasn't any of those things. So it's kind of all just happening, but it's been amazing. And, when I got involved in Shine, I love the work so much. I love public art. I love what Shine was doing for St. Pete. And so to be able to take a lot of what I learned from that and kind of like apply it into other ways, and particularly with other cities, has been really amazing. And a lot of the work that I am doing, I would say maybe half, if not more, of the work I'm doing is with other cities or counties, and which I love. I want to see other people be able to have programs like Shine. And I'm very quickly realizing, though, how rare that is, and like what a gift that is to the city of St. Pete. And but yeah, so I would say I'm probably doing more project management than I am consulting through it, which is great too. Just kind of using my experience of logistics and administrative skills and organizing to kind of help get other programs in place. But yeah, it's been a big transition. I miss the community. I miss being more involved in things. I feel like when I was at the Arts Alliance, you're just like in the center of all the things happening. And at least that's how it felt. And there was so much going on. And yeah, so that part I think has been probably the hardest part of the transition, is just like not feeling as connected to the community as I used to. But it's also been really nice to just like rest and feel like I don't have to be as involved in all the things. Like, it's like the more involved you are, the easier it is to get new jobs and new clients or whatever. But it's also just nice to kind of like slow the pace of my life and have my calendar back, in the sense that like October doesn't dominate my year, and my whole year revolves around that scheduling. And so that's, it's been good. It's been really good, but it's definitely been a big transition.
You mean you want to rest and like care for yourself and
I know, it's weird,
not just be only focused on your work?
It would
what
be
a
nice.
Novel idea.
Yeah, it would be really nice to be able to do that. I have 2 kids too, so it's like, to not have to stress so much about like when they have a random Monday off or a Friday off or picking them up, dropping them off, like just to have that flexibility. Not that I didn't have that before, but it's a little bit even easier now. So yeah.
I love what you said of like you didn't expect to end up doing this, because I feel like that's such a common thing for artists, and especially folks on the administrative side, because like when I took the little career test in middle school, it was not like arts administrator was one of the things they were like, you can be one
what
day.
Is that?
Right. But like, it's just so amazing. And we're all so thankful, like, because you found where you're supposed to be and have benefited the community in such a way. So talk through a little bit, like what sort of projects you're working on now. What is No Good Deed Arts handling? Like, I feel like there's, when you say project management and consulting, it can be so many different things. So walk us through that a little bit.
So it kind of varies. Like I said, I've been doing some work with different cities or in counties. Like I've been working with Orange County and the city of Orlando to do a mural project out there. And that's, I guess it's a little bit of both, right? Consulting, like what is the best way to go about this? How do we create the best possible program and keep in best practices for artists? How do we bring really economic benefit to these businesses as well? We're working in a certain part of town that could use sort of an economic boost. So that part is sort of the consulting end of it, but then also just helping run all the logistics, the curation for the artists, putting out artist calls, and then, all the way down to ordering paint and all the nitty gritty of that. I'm doing that project. I just wrapped up a project with USF. We did murals. Anthony Fries was the artist that was selected for that, and we did murals at each of the USF campuses and the libraries. So that was a fun project. What else have I been doing? I soon am going to be contracting with the city of Tampa, actually, to help manage their public art collection, which I'm really excited about, because my role will be primarily coordinating maintenance and conservation for some of their, I think around 200 of their existing pieces. Wow. And so I'm really excited, because that's also kind of with SHINE, we didn't do any maintenance. It was like the whole thing is meant to be very temporary. And so that's something I'm really eager to learn more about, and like understanding the needs of more permanent pieces of public art and how do we keep them maintained, and especially here in the elements in Florida. So really excited to be working with the city of Tampa. I'll start that this summer. What else am I doing? Just other like, businesses that reach out that need help doing a mural. I guess it's a lot of that. Yeah.
I want to ask about, because I think for some listeners, they probably don't even know like the business side of a mural, kind of, right? Like, to the outsider, it sometimes feels like, a business wants a mural, and then they hire an artist, and then like, congratulations, there's a mural.
Yeah.
But there's so much more that goes into it. So maybe just give us like the Cliff Notes version, because I think it'd be so fascinating for those that don't know to hear, like, what is this?
Yeah, there is a lot that goes into it, and it takes time too. Like a lot of it. Again, it depends on who the entity is that's commissioning it, right? Like if we're going through a city route or a county route, it's a much more involved process. It takes a lot more time, because everything has to be public facing, right? Like the call has to go out to the public a certain amount of time. You have to wait, and then, let people apply. And then it goes through this panel of, selection and review, and all, it's a very, it takes time. I've actually had a chance to be on the committee for the selection of the public art piece for the Obama Library in St. Pete, or the second piece that they're putting in. And gosh, it's been, I think, like a year now that I've been on the committee, and we're still in that process. So we have finalists selected, and then soon they'll present their ideas and we'll select. And so, but it really does take time. If you're a private business owner and you're commissioning a mural that way, or a piece of public art, it can be a little bit faster, because you don't necessarily have to do all the public facing piece of it. But still, selecting an artist, going through the design process with the artist. A lot of times we'll do, you can have like maybe up to 2 rounds of revisions for a design, is pretty standard. And so that takes time to get the artist, any changes that need to be made, have that agreed upon. Contracting can take a long time depending on the nitty gritty of that contract. Weather is always an issue too. And I think that also determines a lot of the scheduling. It's like, people want to want to see things happen as quickly as possible, but especially like even right now, like we're starting to hit where it gets really hot. Nobody wants to be painting from May to really through October. So kind of trying to help people understand that like if we start this process now, we really are thinking about maybe more of a November, December installation rather than like next month. And not only because you need that amount of time to plan, but also because the weather is going to make it even more difficult through that process. What else? Yeah, the logistics end of it, you know, depending on the wall, you probably need a lift that has to get ordered. That costs a lot of money. You might want a storage unit for all your supplies, right? You might have to relocate your parking. You might, you know, you have to figure out where the electric is, where the power is, or the water is, where the restrooms are. Like just even things that seem very basic. Prepping the wall, right? Does it need to be pressure washed? Does it need to be primed? Does it need to have a base coat on it? Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, and it takes time, and it's a skilled profession, right? The same way we would think about like an electrician or a plumber or a carpenter, like they have years and years of training and experience to be able to produce the type of work and skills that they have that they then get paid adequately for, you know? So it's the same thing with artists, right? Mural artists, public artists, any type of artist. These are highly skilled professionals that have been, you know, perfecting their craft for many years.
Yeah. Whenever we talk about artist pay, I always think about that. I think it's an insurance company commercial where he's like, I got $1. And he's like dangling the dollar, and it's like, no, this is someone's livelihood.
Yeah.
And this is, as you said, years of experience and knowledge and tools and equipment. This is not just like, I love a pretty mural and I have a couple extra bucks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It is important for people to be paid appropriately for that work. And I think we're still overcoming this idea of like exposure being, especially in public art, that exposure is somehow payment, you know, and it's like, no, we've really moved past that. This is too much of a thriving industry for that to be still happening. And it happens all the time, you know, but I think if you're outside of the art world or you're just not familiar with how art works or artists work, you just don't know. And there's a lot of education involved in just helping people understand what best practices are, how artists should be treated. And I think that's an important part of my role, is like being this middle player, like this liaison that kind of almost interprets for both sides, right? Like if you're an artist, a lot of artists that I know are not great at the business end of being an artist. And it's such an important part. That's how you get paid. That's how you negotiate those contracts. That's how you manage your livelihood, right? And they may be incredible at painting, but struggle with that part of it. And then on the other side, you have these people that maybe see the value of art, but have no idea how it works, how to even go about being involved in that. And so it's nice when I can be kind of that middle line and help both parties understand one another and educate on behalf of the artist. Also sort of maybe take what a business or property owner might say and communicate it to an artist in a way that isn't going to shut the project down. And so, yeah, it's fun for me to be in that role, you know, and kind of, which again, it's like one of those things like, that doesn't show up on a career test when you're younger. Like, what am I going to be? Like, an artist interpreter? I don't know, you know.
But artist interpreter.
But it's important, you know. I think it can be helpful. So.
Yeah. I'd love to actually back up to that of like, how did you get into this space in the first place? Because we haven't really talked about that journey too much.
Yeah. I was a stay-at-home mom originally when I was living in St. Pete, and the first year of SHINE happened in 2015. And my son, Jonah, at the time was like 9 months old. I mean, he was just a baby, and I was really cooped up. I didn't have any family here in town. I had just started to kind of make some other friends with kids, and but I would just get out of the house and just wander around town because I was like I was just lonely, you know? And so I wander around and I started seeing all the murals in St. Pete that already existed at that time. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, I'm from this small town in Michigan. There's no murals where I came from, you know? And so to see art on that scale in a space that allowed me and my baby to enjoy and be comfortable was like really just like something just clicked in my head. And I started this little photography project with him because I loved that juxtaposition of like this little baby and these massive pieces of art. And so I just started doing portraits of him in front of as many murals as I could. And then it just so happened that later that year was the first year of SHINE. And so I was really paying attention to all the art that was going up because I was like, oh, I'm going to go get more photos, you know? And I just was obsessed with it. I loved everything about that first year of SHINE. I thought the branding was so incredible. All the graphics and the visuals just blew me away. The art was amazing. And I was just hooked. And I was like, whatever this is, I'm going to be a part of it. And I started volunteering the next year and the next year. And at that time, I think it was during that first SHINE I found out I was pregnant again. And so by the second year I had another baby. And then but I had my mom would come to town, my mother-in-law would come to town, and I would like have the babies taken care of and everything would be set up, and I would just like clear my schedule and I would volunteer for SHINE as much as I could for that like 10-day period. And Catherine Howd, who was the volunteer manager at that time, was amazing, and we would just ride around together in her car like delivering lunches and restocking ice and water in the artist coolers. And then while we'd drive around, I would just pepper her with questions like, where did the money come from? Who's this artist? How did we get this wall? What is this? And just like I couldn't get enough of it. And so after a couple years of that, the original organizers were ready to kind of step back, which was like Tess One and Michelle Tanu and Chris Parks. And so the Arts Alliance, asked me if I'd be interested in stepping in, and it was like a dream come true. I mean, I couldn't believe that was offered to me. And like the rest is history. I have loved it ever since,
Yeah. That's such a cool story, because I think sometimes that is like the epitome of like you worked your way in and just found the passion for it and fell in love with it. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. As we start to wrap up, wanted to talk about, and we're going to have to like do some time travel here because we're recording this today. And this won't be released for a couple weeks, but next week you are presenting a plan to the city. And I want to talk about that a little bit, but acknowledging like that presentation might go different ways.
I don't know how this is going to go.
So we're going to have this conversation and then time will happen.
Perfect. Yeah. So I received an invitation from the Florida Greenways and Trails Committee to present at their upcoming conference that's being held at the St. Pete Distillery. And St. Pete just recently became a trail town. We just got that designation, which is really exciting because it now kind of puts the city amongst all these other, nationwide trail towns that are known for their trail systems. So I've been working on a new project that to me is sort of like the evolution of SHINE, right? Like we've done the murals, we're known for our murals, but I'd love to see St. Pete sort of graduate into a more robust public art program that isn't just murals, but carries that same ethos of SHINE in the sense of like that creative freedom, but more, permanent sculptures, temporary sculptures, installations, all, still more murals, mosaics, like whatever it is, all types of public art that would be centered along the Pinellas Trail. So it's modeled after like the New York High Line, the Atlanta Beltline, the Miami Underline. Like a lot of other cities have already taken their what once was a rail corridor, turned them into these walking and biking paths, and then basically surrounded them with art. So it becomes this art corridor in addition to a transportation corridor. So that's what I'll be presenting next week as this like new idea for a public art program in St. Pete. The city of St. Pete owns the Pinellas Trail portion from like 34th Street over to the waterfront. So we'd be looking at that area primarily to begin with, but potentially this could be something that stretches across the entire county and is a full county-wide public art program. So yeah, I'm excited about it. Again, it feels like the sort of evolution of public art in St. Pete, that it would be a bit more like I keep thinking about it like the Florida Orchestra of public art, right? Like it would be this sort of like elevated fine art, but contemporary, fun, engaging, accessible, right? Maybe in ways that maybe the Florida Orchestra isn't, but I say that in the sense of like this is an elevated, sort of refined program. It feels like a graduation in some ways of Shine, but I really want it to have that same heart that Shine had, which is that creative freedom, right? Like really celebrating art for the sake of art in public spaces, free and accessible to the public, and just creating experiences for people, creating a destination, that people want to be a part of and experience and use for travel purposes, So yeah, so that'll be coming out next week, which I guess would be weeks in the past. So yeah, we'll see what
Depending
happens.
on when someone's listening to this,
exactly,
you can probably find out more about how the presentation went.
Yes.
And the next steps for the project.
Exactly. Yeah.
As we start to wrap up, I want to ask this question, and it's like so silly to ask someone like you this question, but like, why is public art important? Like, why spend so much of your time and energy focused on this? I would just love to know your thoughts.
It's a great question. For me, it's about creating spaces that feel inviting and create a sense of belonging, right? I feel like public art is an avenue to do that, where people can feel connected to where they live in a way that I don't know that anything else quite offers, right? It's like a launching point for creating community, for creating opportunities for connection and also dialogue, right? Like the thing I love about public art is it kind of forces you to have an opinion on it. And I love that because there's tons of pieces of public art that like I don't like. A lot of everybody has an opinion on every piece of art that exists out there. And even when those opinions aren't great, that's the beauty of it, right? Like it forces you to have an opinion and it finds you where you are. And to me, that's a really powerful thing because I think there's a lot of people like me that wouldn't have ever thought that the arts, like I didn't think about it as a career, but B, I didn't think much about it at all, right? It's like maybe like a hobby or it's this thing that we do because it's fun and it's a nice creative outlet or something. But it can be transformative, right? Not only individually, but for a city. And I think that it's powerful and it's a way, for people to connect not only with one another, but with their city where they live. And I don't even know why, but for some reason that's always been really important to me to feel like where I'm at is meaningful to me. Like I don't want to I don't want to live in like a big box town where everything's like generic and chains. Like that's why I love St. Pete. It has personality, it has character, and I think art is such an amazing way to express who we are as a city. And I think that's transformational.
It's so much in like our culture and our DNA of it's something to talk about with friends and to see. And I love what you said of like, you might not like it, you might like it a lot, but it's sparking those conversations and bring people together in different ways.
Yeah, it's making you pay attention to art, you know, and there's so many people that would never go into a museum. They'll never go into a gallery. They don't know about those spaces. They don't care about those spaces. They can't afford those spaces, but you can find public art wherever you are and have this sort of this gateway into art in ways that just it finds you. Well,
thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you.
I love all the work you're doing. I tried to keep us on time so this doesn't go forever, but I feel like we could just keep talking and talking. I encourage everyone to follow No Good Deed Arts and all the things you're doing. Check out Shine when it comes back around and, go take a picture with a piece of public art.
Yes. Thank you, Avery. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I would love to thank Jenée Priebe for coming on again. Please continue to follow the work she is doing with No Good Deed Arts. Please go look at a mural, take a picture of a mural, credit those artists, give them a shout out. As Jenée talks about, like this is their livelihood. This is a business. And those artists are incredibly world-renowned artists who have come to Tampa Bay for some of this work. So continue to enjoy that. Thank you for listening to the Arts Passport podcast. Continue to like, follow, subscribe, all of our work, and we will see you around town.